Welcome to week 20. Just over a week since the blackbeacon, so had a bit of a quiet week. Only a couple of runs this week, a few walks, so we'll have a look at those. We'll have a look at lessons learnt from the actual blackbeacon and how I can use them moving forward to the Beacon's Way, and also new trainer day today, so I'll show you my new trainers shortly. Right, see you in a bit. So this week's runs then went out on Wednesday, did a 5 mile run just to see how the legs were doing and stuff like that, and it was a very slow run. Legs were very tired. I'll put like the times and all that up on the screen so you can see them, but yeah, my legs weren't quite ready to start training again, so I've left it now until Sunday. I'm just out on it'll be 6.5, 7 mile loop by the time I finished. Doing a lot better today. It's just extremely warm, but it's getting there. Right, I will crack on and I'll speak to you again in a bit. So what did I learn from blackbeacon then? So few things. The first big one was basically I went into it with slightly the wrong mindset, because I've been concentrating so much on the Beacon's Way. I almost went into it with the mindset of, oh, it's 50 miles or 52 miles. I know roughly the route. I don't need to worry too much about it. Which in hindsight was slightly the wrong thing, because I didn't fully appreciate the route, which put me on the back foot from the start. But it's one of those, I went through it. Hopefully when I get to the Beacon's Way I'll be more au fait with the route, know where all the checkpoints are and stuff like that, and hopefully that will basically help me get in a better mental state when I start to struggle during the race, which will eventually happen. So the next thing that sort of put me on the back foot was the speed I set off and my fueling strategy. So I knew the start of the race was straight uphill from Hay to Hay Bluff, so I'd originally planned to sort of gently walk, run up it, take my time, break into the race easily. When the race started, because it was such a small field, basically everyone started running and I got dragged along with it, so went off too quickly, which then led to my next issue, which was my feeding strategy. So in my head I was planning to, at the start, eat every 3k and then break that down to eating every 5k during the race, and obviously fueling, drinking the same. But because I went off so quickly, I didn't use any of my food probably for the first 20k, so I was nearly at the half marathon point before I had like my first gel or anything like that. I had eaten a little bit at one of the pit stops, but yeah, that put me into deficit, which I had to then catch up during the race, which I did do, but I did have a massive slump about 40 miles in, having just gone over the beacons. My energy levels just dropped, and it took me a good sort of 10k to get back into the select plus, if you see what I mean. So I was able to keep moving. So hopefully when it gets to the Beacons Way, I'm going to try and stick to my fueling plan, and not get drawn into worrying too much about racing people. But again, it wasn't that bad. I did manage to sort of bring it back. Cool, see you in a sec. So the next sort of lesson I learned from the Black Beacon then, was one I sort of already knew to a certain extent. Was one of my peers of trainers, my Torrent ones, were pretty much at the end of their life, so I'd planned to change them at Story Arms, but in my head that was about halfway and not nearly 40 miles into it. So I started with my Torrent ones, started developing sort of hot spots on the balls of my feet, because basically the cushion on them had gone. So had to just dig in and work with them until I could change my socks and shoes out. As soon as I did, moved on to my Torrent 2s. Yeah, a lot easier to run. So the Torrent ones have now been retired. So got a new set of Hoka One One Mafate Speed 2s that I'm breaking in now, so they should be good for when I hit the Beacons Way in about 6 weeks time. Right, cool. I will see you in a bit. So, as well as the sort of things I need to work on before the Beacons Way, there was an awful lot of positives that came out of the Black Beacon. One being, this is the first time I've done a sort of training program building up towards a race, and it definitely helps. I mean, even though I was in a bit of deficit with my energy and stuff like that, I could just keep moving. Didn't have any issues with hips or knees, and it was a very hard course because of all the elevation, but I felt comfortable when I got to the end. Okay, I was slower than I wanted for various reasons, but I know I could have gone faster, and I know that despite towards the end of the race feeling that it was quite a drag for the last sort of 10k's up to the finish, I know I could have carried on, and I think I probably would have had the extra 50 miles in my legs. Granted, I would have had to have picked the pace up a bit, but not by much, to get in on time for the Beacons Way. So I do feel as if I am strong enough to go into it. I just need to make sure I'm basically on my A game when I get there, and just keep ahead of the cut-offs and keep pushing. But yeah, this training program's definitely got me into a better place than I would have been if I was just going for it like I normally do, just off stubbornness, basically, knowing that I'll make it to the end. But yeah, it's good. Right, anyway, best crack on with this run. I will see you shortly. So the new, or my new Hoka trainers then, so far really good. I know it's only sort of like first few miles in them. They feel totally different to the Torrents. There's a lot more padding, a lot more sort of spring in the midsole, and doesn't seem to be as much of a drop on these ones. They seem to be slightly flatter, but really comfortable so far, and it's nice to be able to run on quite rocky tracks without having to actually feeling the rocks under the foot. So hopefully these should be quite decent for obviously when I get to the Beacons Way. But so far, first few miles feel really good and comfortable, so I will let you know how they get on. Right, only got a couple of miles left on this run, so I shall head off and I will see you next week. Catch you later.